Hi everyone, Cecilia here. Welcome to my video. Today we're going to touch on the controversial topic, the topic about our brain. Our brain, it is said, the scientists are saying, it consists of the left and the right hemisphere. Those two those two brain and left and right hemisphere, they coordinate, they communicate perfectly, and they give us a good quality of life when they coordinate properly. The challenge with us as humans is that we normally focus mostly on a particular brain when functioning. Like we improve on a particular brain because probably we think is the one that is giving us most of the qualities, but then they actually, those two sections, they coordinate. Therefore we need to like enhance both of them equally. Why am I saying this? Is because when we look at the brains, scientists are saying the left brain is connected to our right hand side, and the right brain is connected to the left hand side. And what are the quality or the traits of the left hand brain? The left hemisphere of the brain is giving us the logic, the linear, the practical part of thinking, the mathematical part of thinking, the analytical, the scientific, and the time oriented, is mostly time orientated. And we go to the right brain hemisphere, which is now going to our left hand side, is mostly giving us what? Is mostly giving us our imagination, our intuition, our creativity, our abstract, our it focus on the bigger picture. It focus on space, is space orientated. So it is a research has been done, and it was discovered that most of our great thinkers, they use both the right and the left brain hemisphere, and in that way they can enhance both. Because when you use both brains at once, like when you use both brains at once, you are balanced in such a way that you can come up, you can think properly and come up with good ideas. Like they are saying, all the philosophers, good philosophers, thinkers, the inventors, and good artists, like the Picassos, probably Picasso. I haven't done the research about the Picasso, but then I'm thinking probably he's falling under that section. They use both the brains to when functioning, when working. So my worry is that when we go to our schooling system, we mostly are told that we must actually work with our right hand side. And right hand side will mean we're working mostly with the left brain, left brain, left hemisphere, meaning the left hemisphere part of the brain. What does that mean? It means we're thinking logic, we're thinking math, we're thinking everything that is linear. So the question now becomes, what happens to our creativity? What happens to, if ever they say what we don't use, you lose. So what happens to those kids who are actually functioning better with their right hemisphere of the brain? Those who are left-handed, meaning they use mostly their left hand. Because in most cases, you find that they insist that you must write with your right hand side, with your right hand, meaning you must mostly enhance, improve your right part, which now it's giving you the left hemisphere of the brain. So my worry is that those kids who were mostly not focused on were actually disadvantaged, because they were mostly, they wanted to actually use their creative thinking, wherein they'll be able to excel and be produce a good citizen. But because they were taught, the environment in which we were in, they felt that that killed their confidence. Because imagine each and every time when you are told, because you cannot do math, you cannot do all those science, you therefore you are not good enough. Then those who are good at math and good at science and good at all those other things are the ones who are building confidence, because they feel they are better, they can do better than others. I think we lost our good brains because of our schooling system, the way we were taught at school, the way we are taught at school. I don't know if ever they still emphasize on that, but then when I was doing my is grade 1, but then during those times we used to call them sub A. They actually emphasize that guys, you must use your right hand to write. So to me, I'm like, if ever we were allowed to maybe use both hands, depending on which side are you stronger, I think those ones who were unable to do it with their right hand sides were going to, maybe it was going to improve their confidence, because they were going to feel, they're going to enhance their capacity. Because if ever you are allowed to, when we say we are allowed to express yourself in the way that you are comfortable with, you show yourself, you show your confidence, you show your qualities much better. That's why I'm saying this is controversial, because most of the kids were forced to leave school because they were thinking that they can't do certain things. But then the reason is because we were taught that no, you cannot use the right hand side, you cannot use the left hand side. And to them, their left hand side was where they were getting the stimulation. And okay, going again to the issue of brain, the two hemisphere of the brain, they are saying the one thing that can at least assist us in making coordination between the two brains, because it's important for those two brains to work together, like in synergy. We can start doing our meditations, wherein we do our chanting, our breath works, our yoni mudra. That does help in exercising our brain power and make those two brains, the right and the left hemisphere, thinking to work in unison. And in that way, you can produce a better product if ever you work like that. And I'm like now wondering, if ever this is the case, let's say you take a child who's maybe 3 to 7 years, who is not yet introduced into that schooling system, and then you ask that child to probably write something that she has never create something, like draw something that she has never or he has never done before. Maybe you can say, draw water, draw wind or air, draw maybe something that doesn't, that is not logic. I think they were going to like tap into their intuition. We were going to like bring out something out of those little kids. That's where we were going to see that actually kids who are not yet in the schooling system can at least produce some creativity which is phenomenal, which is like out of this world. And that's where we were going to like create innovative thinkers. Because if we can go back to the people like our Hereford, they say Hereford didn't go to school, but then he was managed to come up with that car. The White brothers, they didn't go far with school, but they were able to tap to their intuition and come up with a flying machine. So you ask yourself then, what those kids can do when they are like given the platform to tap into their intuition and bring something to life, something that is not there, and bring it to life. Because we don't know where they are tapping, but then I'm thinking they can actually be able, because they are not influenced by the schooling system wherein a certain thinking is emphasized. They can bring something that is unique, that is out of the world. When I was like doing my research, which is so phenomenal, I found out that when they were checking the traits, they were saying a person who's using a left brain, is good at math, is detail orientated, is good at science, is ruled by facts, ruled by reality, meaning they want to see in order to believe. They are objective, they are analytic, they are logic, their reasoning is clear, they like want to reason on the facts. They are sequential, they are practical, they are strategic, they want to have a pattern, they want to like follow a certain pattern. But then we go to people who are using their right brain. They are huge, they have huge potential. They see a bigger picture. They are intuitive. They are philosophical. They are spiritual. They are creative. They are musical. They are imaginative. They use feelings. They are artistic. They see meaning. They appreciate life. They are adventurous. They are carefree. And looking at those different qualities, then you can see that, yes, it's important to use both brain in synergy. And at the same time, you mustn't rule out one hemisphere over the other and say that one is not important, this one is much more important than the other. So I think we did disadvantage some kids at a basic level, because during my time, I know they were emphasizing on the fact that kids who are unable to write with the right hand, they must ensure that they practice. Some kids were unable to write up until late in the year, like around June. Can you imagine still learning how to write because you are being pushed to write with a hand, with a right hand, and that is foreign to you. So I'm like worried that we probably lost a cream, the best cream in our generation. And okay, again, another topic that I want to tackle is my understanding of our schooling system is that there are 4 pillars of life that I am I'm like thinking they are supposed to be introduced at the basic level. When I say the basic level, I mean maybe the when kids are still doing grade 1. What are those 4 pillars, 4 subjects that are supposed to at least be, if they are not there, they are supposed to be included, because I'm thinking they can bring a good cream to what we have now. I think we need science. I don't know if they do offer it at the basic level. I think we need philosophy. We need art. We need spirituality. Let me explain from the beginning. Science, yes, science, we know science, yes, it's been practiced, yes. Science is the systematic study of the structure and behavior of a physical or natural world through observation, experiment, or testing in order to obtain data which is accurate. We need science. And I don't know if ever we actually doing the necessary testing, the necessary experiments, because I'm worried that especially here in Africa, or should I say South Africa, we've got those indigenous medicines, and we know they do work, but scientifically they were never tested. Aren't we losing on the good of those medicines, because now we taking only medicines that are coming from the West, because they are being tested, they can be they do have data for them. So what about our indigenous medicines that we know they work? They only introduced moringa recently, and moringa has been practiced for years, and we know that moringa has been working, but then it has been only been introduced now. So how many of those medicines are not being introduced, and we know that they are working, we know that they can improve our quality of life? That's where I think we must look into science and at least let our kids know the testing at an earlier stage, so that they can like now bring out all those our indigenous medicines, and start testing them, and see if we cannot like introduce them into the market. That will help us in enhancing our quality of life, and also it will boost our economy, because now we'll be able to sell them to the West. The question now will be whether we do have the pharmaceutical companies in South Africa or in Africa under general that can like approve the testing of those indigenous medication, or we supposed to each and every medicine send them to the Western countries for them to be tested. Yes, it's another issue for another day. And again, I want to talk about art. Guys, art is good, and it's an expression of or a communication between us as humans. And art is also, we see art in music, we see art in the poets, we see art in the authors, and we see art in like sending messages. Mostly is art. So I'm thinking art has to be emphasized as one of the subject that has to be done at the basic level. Imagine now if ever a child is a good artist, he's or she's one of those William Shakespeare. But then because he's using or she's using the left hand side, he won't be able to express that creativity, because they will tell that child at an early age that you are not good enough. Won't that kill that child's confidence? Won't that destroy that cream of becoming our next William Shakespeare? So that's why I'm thinking we must focus on the arts and ensure that they form part of our basic education, and then we do them holistically, so that at least we can see at an early age, at an early stage, how our kids are doing during those times, during that primary level. Because I'm thinking we might find that, I mean, some of the kids, they might not be doing good with the logical part, but then with the arts part they might be excelling. Yes, I want to, like, okay, cut it on the art part, and let's go to our philosophy. Philosophy is actually broad. When I was checking my research, I discovered that actually, for us to understand humans, it's philosophy. For us to understand ourselves as individual, is philosophy. Sorry. To understand the interactions between humans is philosophy. To understand the interactions with our environment, that's philosophy. Like, philosophy is the knowledge, the study of everything under G. When we go to the ancient Greek philosophy, they brought about a variety of subjects. They say they brought astrology, epistemology, ethics, metaphysics, mathematics, logic, biology, political philosophy, and all other subjects that were introduced because of philosophy. Because when I was like checking, philosophy makes you to be able to think. You think outside. They don't tell you what to think. They don't tell you what to think, because now in our schooling system we were told what to think, but we were not taught how to think. You must teach a person how to think, so that at least that person can think broadly, they can come up with anything and everything, and that will actually bring about a whole lot of things. Maybe they can that can even introduce more and more subjects in our field, because when we not channeled of how what to think. When we're not channeled, we can think anything, and that's where this part of innovation is coming from. Because I'm thinking, if ever you are able to think anything, that you can even be innovative, because you'll get a picture which doesn't exist, and create something which is not there, and bring it to life. And then maybe that thing, when we look at it, we discover that it's actually something that can work and improve our daily lives. And okay, I think I'll cut on the issue of philosophy, and as being one of the subjects that has to be introduced in the basic level, and go to spirituality. At the beginning, when I was still young, they introduced religion as a subject, but then I'm not sure if they still practicing religion as a subject, but then I'm thinking the reason why it maybe had died is because religion is specific on a certain type, and then as we evolve, we tend to learn on a whole lot of things, wherein we realize that uh, spirituality doesn't cover everything now. I mean, religion doesn't cover everything that we need to know. When I was checking with spirituality, because I think you might realize that our African spirituality is was never practiced in our in schools. It's one thing that has been left behind, because the introduction of religion brought about that thing of saying we must not feel proud of ourselves, and in that way it made us to cut everything that was practiced in with African spirituality, and some of the things were actually necessary. I looked at spirituality and realized that spirituality is not actually bad as we think it to be. Spirituality is, when talking of like holistically spirituality, when I look at spirituality, I look at it holistically, and if ever it has to be introduced, they must take only the qualities that have been proven to be working in all the spiritual is in spirituality, and bring them to the school, so that kids can be able to know that it's okay to do those things, and they are not taboo. Like, I learned that I read a lot about meditation, and I discovered that meditation is now, when meditation has been adopted as something that is working, it's needed, it enhances our life. We've got metaphysics. Metaphysics is more spirituality, something that we know is there, but then we cannot see, we cannot like describe. It's there, we know, we can feel it, but then just because we cannot see it with our own hands, our own eyes, there's no data, there's no measurements, therefore we think no, it cannot be introduced in schools. But then those are things that can be like, we've got good books that are saying things that are actually practical, wherein we can actually just give an introduction to the kids, so that they can see that something like this is there and it does exist. We've got the chakras. The chakras have been practiced in other areas, but then some areas we don't look at them, but then we know they do. We know there's something like that, and we know they do work. We know they do work. They do enhance our bodily functions. And the drums beating. The drums beating is necessary for healing our consciousness, because as you know that mind is very controversial, and mind can affect a whole lot of things, and a man can be affected by a whole lot of things. But then there are certain people, whenever you beat the drums to them, they behave much better, and that has been a practice. But then because it cannot be proven in scientific method, it has been a cut off as something that is there. But then we do practice it. We know we do practice it in our homes. As another thing is the numbers. We know there are certain numbers that symbolizes something, but those things are not we don't talk about them. We think they are backward. They are whenever you do that is uncivilized. And we've got like self-healing. What is self-healing? We know that a body can heal itself, but do kids know that our body can heal themselves? Our body can heal itself? Do they allow the body to heal itself? Or each and every time when we feel that there's some ailments, we run to look for a quick fix, like the stimulation things, like I don't want to mention the drugs that we take, but then we take drugs and then we think, okay, we healed, but then in actual fact, we didn't heal the ailment. Is just, or the ache is just, it's a question that, I mean, that drug suppress the pain, and by so doing we tend to think we are healed. We've got yoga. We know that it coordinates mind, body, and soul. But then, as to why aren't we introducing it so that at least kids can have a choice as to whether they want to go further with those things? At least if ever you've introduced them to something, it creates an environment wherein they'll understand, okay, there's something that is there, and then it can help in certain way. Then it will be up to them if they want to get into it and study further about it. Because at times you may find that that person needs to know about that, so that maybe his ailment can be healed by those things. But if ever you deny him or her that information, and it end up becoming like it's a taboo, some of these things, when other kids are practicing them, it becomes a taboo, because kids were never introduced to those things early enough. We've got the chanting. Chanting is also regarded as a taboo. Our kids, if you do chanting, they tend to think, say your mental faculties, you are losing it. You are the network. You are losing the network. Something is no longer charging properly. That's when we do some chanting. But then, in actual fact, chanting, it does help to reorganize the brain, wherein you have some anxiety, you have some you now going into depression, sort of, because it is proven to be helping. It's just, the thing is, those are things wherein they are not at the forefront with when, for people who did the research. You cannot, you do find the research, but then they don't promote that, because the pharmaceutical companies would like us to keep on buying the drugs that they are selling. And the last one that I want to highlight is the universal laws. We know there are universal laws, and we know universal laws are what regulates us as humans. But as to why are they not being introduced in our curriculum system, I'm like wondering, because we know that there are commandments in the Bible, and the commandments are, yes, related to the Bible, but then the general laws that are being practiced universally are the universal laws. And they do help, because that's where we come up with karma. those things become a taboo because we don't get to understand them from the beginning, and then we get to hear about them when you are older. And in that way, it becomes a challenge to us to get into it, because we have this thing of being scared that what are these now? What are these? Because I mean, we were never introduced into these things early enough. So it is a concern to me that those are the things that we should at least learn them early enough, so that you can be able to decide whether we want to practice them or we don't want to. Because if you don't know about something, you are not going to be able to see whether it works for you or it doesn't work for you. Yes, this is the I'm glad you managed to you guys managed to stay with me up until this stage, and I'm so humbled that you followed. I'd like to hear your comments about the topics that this topic that I've introduced today, and I'm happy. And the newcomers, please subscribe, and we're going to learn a lot from the observation that I had. I still have to now break down the topics that I've highlighted, especially when it comes to spirituality, because spirituality, philosophy, and all the laws of attraction, and the law of manifestation, they work hand in hand. But then because we don't know how they work, we end up following and we make mistakes, and then we are surprised when they are not working for us. But then if we can learn step by step, we'll be able to practice them properly. In my next video, I want to also introduce the actions that we need to start taking in order to go step by step, especially with the meditation. We must start doing the meditations, and we must start doing the affirmations, because they are very important in when going further, because our aim here is to improve our lives, and at the end we must be able to reach a stage where we become abundant. That's what you must take from this channel. And I thank you for staying with me, and I invite you to subscribe, so that you can be notified of the next video that is going to be uploaded soon. Thank you.